So how much money can you make as a developer? That's a question I always get asked. Would you like to know? My name is Ritchie Clapson. I'm a chartered structural engineer and I've been involved in the property industry now over 40 years. And in this episode, I'm going to tell you exactly how much money you could make as a property developer. So many times people come up to me and say, I want to be a property developer. I like the idea of being a property developer, but how much money can you make? That's $1 million question, isn't it? Or maybe it is $1 million. Who knows? Maybe it isn't. Let's have a think about it. Let's talk about it in this episode. So I suppose the question that we want to ask is, what is it that you want? Because that's where it drives from. Because if I told you you could make £1 million a year out of property development, would that be good? What if I told you could make 2 million? What if I told you could make 10 million? What if I told you could make 100 million a year out of property development? Well, the reality is all of those are correct. There are developers out there making substantial amounts of money. But I want to focus you on what you want, because what's important in your life? Is it money, or is it time, or is it a combination of both? And that, I think, is what you need to ask yourself first, because the bottom line is, how much money can you make? You can make as much as you want. You really, really can. But what I'd encourage you to think about is how much money you want to make and how much time you want to put in. Or actually, let's reverse this. How much free time do you want? Because the bottom line is, how much is enough for you? So let's have a think. What is it you want out of life? What is it you are aiming for? Let's have a think about the lifestyle that you want. I'm guessing the primary thing you want is time. Time for you with your friends and your family, maybe your work colleagues, or maybe hobbies. Maybe it's things you want to go out there and do. Time's important. So how often do you want to work? Because if I said to you, okay, I can teach you a process to make £1 million a year, but I'll be honest with you, it's a 7-day, 24/7 job. Do you want it? You probably don't, do you? Because you're working now and you've got no time to spend that money. So it's a balance of what we want. So what I would encourage you to do is maybe grab some paper, maybe stop this video right now, grab some paper, grab a pen and start writing this stuff down. Okay, have you got a pen and paper? Perhaps you have. If we have, then let's write down, what is it I want? What are the most important things that you want in your life? And maybe it's going to be starting with some material things. Maybe you want a bigger house, okay? So let's identify that house. Maybe it's 2 homes. Maybe you've got a house, but you want a holiday home. Maybe it's 3 homes. It doesn't matter. Identify maybe the house, the home, those types of things. Maybe it's cars. You know, do you want a car? Do you want another car? Do you want a bigger car? Do you want several cars? Write those down. Maybe it's a plane. Maybe it's a helicopter. You know, maybe it's a boat. Maybe it's 3 boats. It doesn't matter. What are those materialistic things that you want? And no one's judging you. This is what you want to achieve to enjoy your life. And I suspect after a while, for most of you, that materialistic list runs out. You know, okay, you could be a Elon Musk and you could have what you want. You could get yourself because he's got what he wants, isn't he? He's got billions and billions of pounds. But actually, has he got time to spend it and enjoy it? So I guess it then comes down to time. How much time do you want? So assuming maybe for most people, most students that I mentor and most students that I guide through this process to fundamentally change their life and earn some substantial amounts of money, most of them are after time. They'd like to be in a position where they say, okay, I'd like to work maybe 1 or 2 days a week. And I'd like to work 1 or 2 days a week and have the ability to have a lifestyle that actually was pretty comfortable. So I'm happy with 1 home. Maybe I'd like a holiday home. I'm happy with a couple of cars. But I don't need helicopters and planes and big flashy boats. Maybe I can hire a boat every now and then if that's my thing. But actually, what I really want is time. Because do you know, when you get to the end of life, what's the most important thing that you probably regret? It's not spending enough time doing this. It's not spending enough time doing that. It's not, oh, I didn't buy that or I didn't buy this, is it? Do you imagine that? It's like, fast forward to that point. It's very unlikely you're ever going to get to that point and go, do you know, I wish I'd bought that supercar. You probably didn't. I wish I'd spent more time with my family, more time with my children, more time with my friends, more time with myself. So it's a balance. So I'm asking you to write down what you want as a balance. And then we can understand what you want financially to achieve that. So let's start having a think about some of those numbers. Okay, Now, development, if we're thinking about our numbers, is typically going to yield 20% of GDV, gross development value. Write that down. 20% gross development value is what we're looking at as a profit. So let's try and imagine how much in your area, in your town, in your city, maybe flats or simple houses are. So let's have a think about how much a flat is. So what's a flat in your area? Say £200,000? Could be a small house. Let's assume you develop 5 of those. 200 times 5 is £1 million. Okay, that's what we call £1 million sale value or £1 million gross development value. And doing a development with just 5 flats should yield you circa 20% profit. 20% of £1 million is £200,000. Now, £200,000 out of a project which you could probably complete when you're up and running within a year. So that means by default, you could do one of those a year. Now, does that give you what you want? For some of you out there, maybe. Look at your list, look at your piece of paper. Maybe that lifestyle, those materialistic things you wanted will actually get you in a position to achieve all of that with £200,000 a year. If it does, well, there's your answer. Do one development, 5 units every year, earn £200,000. What if you want a bit more? Maybe there's a few of you out there that actually want a bit more than that. Well, let's have a think about it. Let's just simply up the numbers. What about doing 10 flats at £200,000 each? Well, the gross development value on those is going to be 2 million. 2 million, 20% is £400,000. Is that going to do it for you? Do you like that? Maybe that's too much. Maybe you don't need that much. If you're in the £200,000 bracket, well, that's great. If you want £400,000 a year, maybe that's ideal. So maybe there you are. You just do one 10 flat scheme a year, and that could yield you £400,000. Is this easy? Of course it's not easy. Is it simple? Yes, it is, but it does require some hard work. So if you're prepared to put hard work in to earn £200,000 or £400,000 a year, then this is perfectly achievable for you. What about if you actually don't need that much money, but actually we're going to come back to time. So time's more important. What about if you only need £200,000 a year? And what about if you did one project with 10 flats, £200,000 each, and you earn £400,000 in 1 year? Well, what does that tell you? You can work for a year and take a year off. And then you work for a year and take a year off. And then, do you see what I'm saying? Work a year, take a year off. Work a year, take a year off. How does that sound? That's entirely possible. That's entirely possible. We talk about small-scale development being between 5 and 20 units. That's a sweet spot where you want to play if you're going to become a small-scale developer. That keeps you out the area at the lower end of the small-scale builders and keeps you below the area of the regional developers. So there's far less competition. And it's a really nice place where you can take disused, rundown, abandoned commercial buildings and turn them into residential using permitted development rights, therefore reducing your risk, therefore maximizing that opportunity for profit. But how long will these projects actually take? Let's just take one project that could yield you $200,000 a year. As we said, that could be 5 flats. Well, on average, probably, get this, 1 day a week. You interested? Are you interested to work hard for 1 day a week, on average, to achieve £200,000? Now, I know for a lot of you that probably sounds a bit far-fetched, but once you understand this, you can see how entirely possible that is. Now, there isn't 1 day a week. It's an average. Some weeks, nothing to do. Some weeks, quite a lot to do. So you do need an element of flexibility in what you're currently doing. But of course, imagine just transitioning to this point where you're a full-time developer. That's your full-time job. Well, then some weeks, are you prepared to work 5 solid days, early to late that week, and then the next week and the week after, nothing? You probably are. Because that's the reality. Think about it. When you're trying to find that opportunity, you're trying to find that building, to put that deal together and pull the team together, communicate with the agents, have the professionals, bring the money to the table, the private money, the commercial money, stack all that up. Quite a lot to do at that point, isn't there? A lot of work to do. But actually then, think about it. We're going to have a design process to go through. So you set all your consultants running. Okay, guys, can you go and have a look at the layout? Can you price it up? Can you put the information together? What are you doing? Well, you're the CEO. You've got nothing to do at that point. They're probably gone off for a week or two. Then they're going to touch base with you, maybe an odd phone call in between, but then they're going to come back with a proposed solution. You review it, off they go again. And actually going out to tender, when the whole project's out to tender, what are you going to do for 2 or 3 weeks? Nothing. Project manager's running that for you. What about when it's on site? Well, a common misconception, a lot of new developers think, well, I need to go down to site, I need to control this, I need to manage this. No, you've got a project manager to do that. That's what we do in small scale development. And maybe you come from perhaps you're listening to this coming from a buy-to-let HMO service department, that's what I meant to say, background, where a lot of you are very hands-on with all the trades. That's not how small scale development works. This is why it's so highly leveraged and so time efficient. You are going to have a project manager running the team, project manager running the contractor, contractor running the subcontractors. You're going to deal with them. So your requirement to go to site once, maybe twice a month. And so on that basis, you have a huge amount of time available at that point. So you can see that it's a balance of the time and the money. 1 day a week could yield you £200,000. What about £400,000? Is that a day a week or is that 2 days a week? Well, the reality is probably still on average 1 day a week, because the work involved for a £400,000 profit, a £2 million project, is not much different to a £1 million project. Yeah, if we up the scale and we start doing a 10, 20, 30 million pound project, which I strongly suggest you don't, because I suggest you stick to small scale development, then of course there's going to be more work involved and of course a whole load more risk, and we don't need risk. So actually, you're going to be in a position where you could run one project in small scale development every year, probably get yourself something like 2, 3, maybe £400,000 profit, and working on average a day a week. And I tell you what, even if it was 2 days a week, you'd probably still take it, wouldn't you? That would still be an opportunity. What about though, if you sat there listening to this and you go, that's not enough for me. I want way more than that. Well, of course you can do what you want. Many of my students have really got great ambitions. One of my students particularly, and I've actually interviewed him recently on one of our open door shows, he actually said to me, one of his goals, one of his targets is to actually end child poverty in the world. Now that's a big goal, isn't it? But actually, if he's got big ambitions and he can go out, he could earn millions of pounds as a developer. And could he go some way towards that target of eradicating child poverty in the world? I'm sure he could. I've got another student of mine came to me and said, hey, look, I'll be honest with you, I could do one development a year, but it just doesn't excite me. I want to do 3, 4, 5 developments a year. Okay, we talked about that model. We worked out how that business model can be extended, how he can be the CEO of a number of CEOs. So actually what he's done, he's teamed up with a number of other students, a number of other developers. And all he's doing is overseeing all of them, overseeing project managers, overseeing contractors, overseeing subcontractors. So actually he's leveraging his time even further. He's looking at a position where he's projecting to bring in, probably after 2 years of starting this journey, around £2 million profit. £2 million profit. So you can see, you can do pretty much what you want in development. You can take it as far as you want as a small scale developer. The reality is that you've got to pull it back to what you actually want. And I think you need to be realistic, because many people come to me, or perhaps when I see them, when I'm first talking to them, maybe at an event, maybe at an exhibition, and I say, how much do you want to earn? A lot of people say 200,000 to 300,000 a year. That would do them. And of course, there's always a few that go, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million. I want 100 million. I've heard it all. The reality is, when I actually sit down with them, and when I actually show them the model that balances time and money, and when they see a position where they genuinely can feel that they can earn 2, maybe £300,000 a year, working part-time, they take it. And in fact, that 1 million, that 2 million a year, that 3 million goal is gone. Because for them, in what they're trying to achieve, and that sort of money that they can earn over a 10, 15, 20-year period is more than enough. More than enough to live their lifestyle, more than enough to fill their pension pot, and more than enough to give them the free time. Because it's time and money is the balance you need. So, how much money can you make as a developer? The bottom line is enough to lead the life that you want. What is that life? Work out what it is. Small scale development can let you have it. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you've written a few notes. If you haven't, grab a piece of paper, go back and listen to this, because I think this is a great little talk, a great little idea to get you started and make sure you know what that journey is that you want to achieve. Hopefully you like what we do here. If so, please like and subscribe. Subscribe, that's what I meant to say. Please like and subscribe, and in which case you'll never miss another episode. See you soon.